Hello. My name is Sarah Ronald, and I've been teaching depth psychology for 20 years. And in those 20 years, I've come to one uncomfortable conclusion. Most people go through life not knowing half of themselves. To my regret, this is the worst half of them. Today I want to talk to you about a concept that might fundamentally change the way you see yourself. This is Carl Gustav Jung's theory of the shadow. Carl Jung was born in 1875 in Switzerland. He was a student of Freud's, but at a certain point he went his own way, and, in my opinion, went considerably further than his teacher. Jung proposed a model of the psyche in which our conscious mind is merely a small island in a vast ocean of the unconscious, and in the depths of that ocean lives what he called the shadow. What is the shadow? In short, it is everything you refuse to be. Imagine this. You are growing up, you're 3, 5, 10 years old, and the world around you is constantly telling you, this is good, this is bad, good girls do not get angry, good boys do not cry, do not be greedy, do not be too loud, do not be too noticeable. And you, a child who wants love and acceptance, you begin to cut away pieces of yourself. Your anger, your envy, your sexuality, your hunger for power, your selfishness, sometimes your tenderness, if you were taught that tenderness is weakness, sometimes your strength, if you were taught that being strong is dangerous. None of it disappears. It falls downward into the basement of your psyche, and there in the darkness it continues to live. It grows, it mutates, it becomes your shadow. Jung wrote, the shadow is that which a person has no wish to be. But here's the trap, what you deny doesn't cease to exist. It begins to run your life from behind the curtain. How does this manifest? Oh, let me tell you. The first way, projection. Remember the person who drives you crazy. Jung would say, look inside. What infuriates you about another person very often, and I emphasize, very often, is your own repressed quality. Someone else bragging annoys you, perhaps you raise suppressing your own need for recognition. Someone else's aggressiveness enrages you, perhaps you raise sitting on your own fury like a powder keg. I remember a student in one of my seminars. Bright, quiet, beautifully well-mannered young woman, who literally could not speak calmly about a colleague of hers. She is so selfish. She only thinks about herself. She never considers anyone else. When we began working deeper, it turned out this student had spent her entire life suppressing her own needs. She didn't know how to say no. She wouldn't allow herself to want. And her hatred for the selfish colleague was hatred for the part of herself that also wanted the right to come first. The second way the shadow manifests is what Jung called possession. When the shadow accumulates too much energy, it erupts. You lash out at loved ones. You do things you would never do. You say words you cannot explain afterward. And the next morning you sit there thinking, that was not me. What came over me? Jung would answer, that was precisely you. Just the part of you that you refused to meet. You know what is most fascinating? The shadow does not only contain darkness. Jung spoke of what he called the golden shadow. These are your suppressed talents, your unrealized strength, your capacity to create, to lead, to love without holding back. People do not only repress their vices, they repress their light as well, because shining can also be terrifying. Because being great means standing out, and standing out means being vulnerable. When you admire someone to the point of trembling, to the point where your heart stops, that too can be projection. Perhaps what you see in that person already exists inside you. You simply have not given yourself permission to express it. Now, the essential question, what do you do about it? Jung proposed a process he called shadow integration, and this is perhaps one of the hardest things a human being can do for themselves. Integration does not mean becoming your shadow. It does not mean unleashing every dark impulse. No, integration is acknowledgement. It has the courage to say, yes, there is anger in me. Yes, there is envy in me. Yes, there is a hunger for power in me. And yes, there is light in me that I've been hiding. When you stop running from your shadow, something remarkable happens. It loses its power over you. A demon you look at directly stops being a demon. It becomes simply a part of you. A part that also has something to say. Jung once wrote a sentence that I consider one of the most important in the history of psychology. He said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Think about that. All those patterns that keep repeating in your life. Relationships that end the same way, conflicts that arise again and again, self-sabotage at the very moment you are closest to success. That is not fate. That is your shadow. And it will repeat the same lesson until you turn around and look it in the face. I've been doing this work for 20 years, and I still find new shadows within myself. This is not a one-time operation. It is a lifelong process. But every time you integrate another fragment, you become a little more whole, a little more free, a little more yourself. Jung believed that the purpose of human life is individuation, becoming who you truly are, and that path inevitably goes through the darkness, not around it, not above it, through, So here is my assignment for you today. Think of that person who irritates you and ask yourself, honestly, without defenses, without excuses, what exactly in them is my reflection. You might not like the answer, but it might change your life. Thank you for being with me. My name is Sarah Ronald. See you in the next video.